around 2700 BC, an extraordinary ruler emerged in Uruk, the crowning jewel of the highly advanced Sumerian civilization. His name was Gilgamesh, a demigod born to the priest-king Lugalbanda and the goddess Ninsen. He is believed to be the last king of the Anunnaki, the powerful Sumerian deities reputed to have genetically modified early human DNA. His reign over the city-state of Uruk is shrouded in legends and myths. This kingdom thrived in the fertile lands along the Euphrates River, in what is now modern-day Iraq. His adventures are immortalized in the Epic of Gilgamesh, a Middle Eastern literary masterpiece written 2,000 years before the birth of Christ. For many years, it was widely believed that this epic was merely a literary creation and that the ancient king himself likely never existed. This all changed in 2003, when a team of German explorers and archaeologists led by Jörg Fassbender unearthed an ancient tomb they believed belonged to giants who roamed the earth thousands of years ago. Fassbender believed that his team had discovered the tomb of the legendary king Gilgamesh in his expansive city. The site, situated in the marshlands approximately 300 kilometers south of Baghdad and 150 kilometers north of Basra, corresponds to the descriptions found in the Epic of Gilgamesh. Covering 100 hectares, this area aligns with the ancient accounts of Uruk. According to legend, Gilgamesh was buried beneath the Euphrates in a tomb constructed when the river's waters parted after his death. Intriguingly, researchers have discovered the remains of a structure just outside the city, situated in the middle of the ancient Euphrates riverbed, which could be interpreted as a burial site. The discovery of the ancient city beneath the Iraqi desert was made possible by cutting-edge technology. By analyzing variations in soil magnetization, researchers were able to peer into the ground with remarkable precision. The contrast between the mud bricks and Euphrates sediments revealed intricate details of the buried structures. This process generated a magnetogram, which was then digitally mapped to provide an accurate and detailed town plan of ancient Uruk. Now let's venture back in time to marvel at the captivating history and legends surrounding the fabled king. Gilgamesh is described as towering above all others, at an astonishing 17 feet tall. Blessed with extraordinary beauty and immense physical strength, he was truly remarkable. He led vast armies with unparalleled valor and fought with the ferocity of a wild bull. The city-state of Uruk during his reign was a beacon of culture, economic power, and innovation. It is credited with many of humanity's firsts, including the invention of cuneiform writing. It represented the zenith of Sumerian engineering, architecture, and social organization, boasting a population that highlighted its status as one of the world's largest cities at the time. However, his rule was far from smooth. Gilgamesh was notorious for his arrogance and tyranny. With no one to challenge his authority, he frequently abused his power, demanding adoration from his people and commissioning monuments in his honor. Over time, the inhabitants of Uruk grew to despise their king, praying fervently to the gods to save them from Gilgamesh's cruelty and immorality. Moved by their pleas, the compassionate celestial god Anu commanded the goddess of vegetation, Aruru, to create a being to rival Gilgamesh. Using clay as her medium, Aruru fashioned Enkidu, a hybrid creature, part man and part animal. When Gilgamesh and Enkidu finally met, their encounter was nothing short of legendary. These two mighty beings clashed in a battle that raged for 7 uninterrupted days, causing widespread destruction in the city. Each strike from these demigods could have felled countless human warriors, yet neither showed any sign of surrender. As the fight progressed, a mutual admiration began to grow between them. In the end, Gilgamesh landed a decisive blow, knocking Enkidu to the ground. However, instead of finishing off his opponent, Gilgamesh extended a helping hand, lifting Enkidu to his feet. Proud of their mighty clash, they embraced each other, forming an everlasting friendship. From that day forward, Gilgamesh transformed into a more just king, ceasing to torment his people. In the years that followed, Gilgamesh and Enkidu embarked on numerous adventures, venturing into uncharted territories and triumphing over formidable monsters and heroes. However, their bond was not destined to last forever. As divine retribution for their deeds, Enkidu fell gravely ill. Desperate to save his friend, Gilgamesh sought the help of the kingdom's finest doctors, but their efforts were in vain. Enkidu passed away in agonizing delirium, held in the arms of a heartbroken Gilgamesh, who mourned his loss deeply for days. Enkidu's death instilled a profound fear in Gilgamesh, awakening a deep dread of his own mortality. This fear propelled him on a relentless quest to uncover the secret of immortality and possibly bring Enkidu back to life. Determined and desperate, Gilgamesh journeyed far and wide, traversing mountains and deserts in search of his ancestor, Utnapishtim, a man who had survived the Great Flood and was granted immortality by the gods. With the guidance of the boatman Urshanabi, Gilgamesh crossed a vast lake of poisonous waters and finally arrived at the abode of Utnapishtim. To his disappointment, Utnapishtim explained that only the gods possess the power to bestow eternal life. Confronted with the harsh reality that no matter how strong or wealthy a man may be, he cannot escape death, Gilgamesh finally accepted his fate and returned to Uruk. Upon his return, he came to appreciate the magnificence and enduring nature of his city. Realizing that his legacy as a benevolent king would be the closest he could come to immortality, he resolved to immortalize his name, the memory of Enkidu, and their great adventures. Gilgamesh decided to inscribe their story on clay tablets, ensuring that their tale would endure for all time. We might now ask, is there any supporting evidence for the historicity of Gilgamesh? First, consider the Sumerian king list. This is no ordinary historical document. It's a blend of history and mythology, detailing the rulers of Sumer and the lengths of their reigns. Fascinatingly, Gilgamesh's name appears on this list. His inclusion suggests that he may have been a real historical figure, not merely a character from ancient folklore. The existence of multiple versions of the Sumerian king list, discovered in various locations and from different periods, underscores the importance the Sumerians placed on documenting their leaders, with Gilgamesh being a significant part of this record. Notably, he is also mentioned by popular historical figures of his era, including King Enmabarajasi of Kish around 2700 BC. Inscriptions crediting him with constructing the Great Walls of Uruk, now modern-day Warka, Iraq, have been found. It's believed that these are the very tablets upon which he first recorded his quest for the meaning of life. Now, let's dive deeper into the colorful Anunnaki mythology. According to Sumerian manuscripts, there is a distant planet in our solar system called Nibiru. Every 3,600 years, Nibiru's orbit brings it close to Earth. Nibiru was the home planet of the Anunnaki, who struggled with severe climate and atmospheric changes that made food production and survival difficult. To address these challenges, the Anunnaki required large quantities of gold, a rare resource on Nibiru, valued for its purifying properties and its ability to resist cosmic radiation. In their quest for gold, the Anunnaki harnessed their advanced technology and launched ships into space. After a lengthy and arduous search, they arrived on Earth around 445,000 years ago, becoming the first astronauts to colonize another planet. At that time, Earth was teeming with wild animals such as mammoths, saber-toothed tigers, and various apes. The Anunnaki settled in Mesopotamia, where they established the magnificent city of Eridu. This city boasted a splendid garden filled with fruit trees and animals, known as Eden, which became the favored abode of the astronaut gods. Gold extraction commenced in underground mines, with the Anunnaki relying on slaves from another alien race, the Igigi, to handle the heavy labor. After years of forced labor and mistreatment, the Igigi rebelled against their oppressors, igniting the first war on Earth. Despite their valiant efforts, the Igigi were ultimately defeated and decimated. This created another problem. They needed a new labor force for their gold operation. To solve this, the Anunnaki devised a plan to create a new race of intelligent beings, capable of labor, but less rebellious than the Igigi. By merging their genes with those of our human ancestors, the Anunnaki engineered a hybrid, submissive race to serve under their command. They deliberately deactivated most of our DNA, severely limiting our genetic potential. It's believed that only 20 of the 64 codons in our DNA are activated, a restriction imposed by the Anunnaki to maintain our submission, control, and conformity. To further ensure their dominance and suppress any potential human rebellion, they wielded advanced weaponry. Over time, humans learned to speak and were taught by the Anunnaki how to cultivate crops and construct houses from clay and stone. As the Anunnaki grew increasingly fond of their creations, they permitted us to reside in their city and care for the sacred garden. However, they imposed one significant restriction, limiting human reproduction. Defying the gods' commands, humans began to procreate rapidly, leading to overpopulation within the city. As a result, many were expelled from Eden and Eridu, forced to live in exile in the wildlands. After a few millennia, Nibiru once again approached Earth, its powerful gravitational field causing severe environmental disruptions. These included increased temperatures, rapid glacial melting, rising sea levels, and relentless rainfall. A great flood eventually ravaged the Earth, submerging the city of Eridu. In an effort to preserve their creation amid the catastrophic changes, the Anunnaki implemented measures to ensure humanity's survival. They constructed large boats to safeguard humans during the Great Flood. However, it remains unclear whether these vessels floated on water or were advanced ships hovering in the sky. In the wake of the catastrophic flood, the gods resolved to return to Nibiru. However, before their departure, they gifted humanity with invaluable knowledge, imparting lessons in architecture, mathematics, music, and writing. According to this theory, these beings were responsible for constructing the sophisticated megastructures such as the pyramids and Stonehenge. They also introduced the concept of monarchy, ensuring that specific leaders with a pure Anunnaki bloodline possessed the authority to rule and guide others. We recognize ziggurats as iconic monuments of the Sumerian civilization. It is believed that the Anunnaki instructed humans to construct these temples as beacons, intended to guide the Anunnaki back to Earth in the future. Some researchers propose that the Anunnaki will eventually return to Earth to correct their mistakes, specifically addressing our so-called junk DNA to hasten humanity's spiritual awakening and the evolution of human consciousness. Their return is linked to the anticipated arrival of the mysterious celestial body Nibiru. Whether Nibiru is a planet or a dwarf star remains unknown, and only time will reveal if this prophecy will be fulfilled. There are intriguing speculations that the Anunnaki might be the same beings as the Nephilim mentioned in the Bible. This idea gains traction when considering that both the biblical flood narrative and the Epic of Gilgamesh describe godlike beings interacting with humans during a global flood. Such parallels suggest that the stories of these extraordinary beings could be intertwined. However, some scholars argue that the Anunnaki and the Nephilim are distinct mythological entities from different cultural traditions. In the meantime, you can watch this discovery about Karahan Tepe, which is believed to have been built under the direction of the Anunnaki. There's a single stone that stands apart from the billions of stones in the planet, and that's the black stone nestled within the awe-inspiring 43-foot granite structure, the Kaaba of Mecca. This stone is elevated to a status of unparalleled holiness. Astoundingly, millions journey across the globe embarking on pilgrimage to witness and reverently kiss this sacred stone. As regular observers, we can't help but ponder what elevates this seemingly ordinary stone to a status where millions of people hold it in profound reverence. According to Muslim tradition, this very stone played a pivotal role in demarcating the location of the first temple, thereby laying the foundation for the establishment of Mecca itself. Like any mysterious religious artifact, the black stone has sparked various speculations and intrigues about its true properties. Indeed, compelling narratives assert that the black stone cradles the mythical beast of Revelation, Allah. once banished from heaven and now ensnared within its enigmatic confines. A provocative assertion goes even further, suggesting that Jesus Christ himself disclosed that Allah, as mentioned in the Quran, is the entity confined within the black stone of the Kaaba. According to this view, Jesus predicts the emergence of a false prophet identified as Muhammad, who will establish an image for this beast. The intricate details unfold in Revelation chapter 13, verse 14, where the image deceives the inhabitants of the earth, compelling them to worship it in homage to the miraculously surviving beast with a sword loom. These lead us to thought-provoking questions. Is there a hidden presence or entity nestled within the confines of this stone? Could this be the real reason why this stone is so important to the Islamic community? Typically, addressing these inquiries involves subjecting the artifact to scientific examination by experts. However, the case for the black stone is different. Due to the reluctance to potentially harm this sacred object, it has undergone only a limited degree of scientific scrutiny. Consequently, numerous theories concerning it primarily rely on observations rather than undergoing rigorous scientific inquiry. Nevertheless, over time, shocking discoveries have emerged regarding this sacred stone. Let's dive into these groundbreaking discoveries that have reshaped our understanding of the stone. To begin our narrative, let's look at what Islam believes about the long journey that made this stone highly revered today. Scholars suggest that the attraction originated from the belief that the black stone is not of earthly origin. It is seen as a miraculous stone thought to have come from the heavens and possessing supernatural powers. Following Adam's banishment from the Garden of Eden, burdened by sin, the black stone was granted to him as a means to cleanse his transgressions and pave the way for his journey back to heaven. It was said that the stone was originally as white as milk, but it underwent a transformation to a dark color due to its exposure to a world saturated with the accumulated sins of humanity. Yet, the stone's stories go beyond Adam and Eve, encompassing tales involving Abraham and Prophet Muhammad. It was in Mecca that Abraham and his son Ishmael constructed the initial house of worship for God. Upon completing this sacred house, there remained one brick awaiting placement. Abraham then dispatched his son Ishmael to find a distinctive stone for this purpose. However, in a fine twist, the ultimate stone to be laid was not from earthly materials, but rather a stone directly from the heart of paradise. The angel Gabriel descended with the stone and entrusted it to Abraham, who meticulously positioned it in its designated place. They remained undisturbed for an extended duration until a devastating fire partially damaged the Kaaba. This prompted the Meccan clans to undertake the formidable challenge of restoring it. The black stone had been temporarily removed to facilitate the rebuilding work. Upon completing the restoration, they faced an unexpected dilemma, determining who would have the honor of returning the stone to its rightful place. Naturally, each of them coveted this privilege. In a stroke of ingenuity, they devised a solution. They would grant this honor to the first person entering the entrance. This person happened to be Muhammad, 35 years old at the time, and 5 years before his prophethood. Demonstrating wisdom, Muhammad requested the elders to bring a cloth and place the black stone at its center. The leaders of each clan took hold of the cloth's corners, collectively transporting the black stone to its designated location. Then Muhammad set the stone in place, satisfying the honors of all the clans. Following his triumphant conquest of Mecca in 630 AD, a moment of profound reverence unfolded as Muhammad circled the Kaaba 7 times on his camel. With a gesture of deep respect, he touched the black stone with his stick. He then commanded the obliteration of pagan gods within the shrine and its purification from all traces of polytheism. Since then, the Kaaba has stood as the central focus of Muslim devotion, symbolizing the triumph over idolatry and marking a pivotal moment in Islamic history. The black stone, embedded within the Kaaba, served as a tangible bridge between heaven and earth, embodying a powerful link between the divine and the earthly realms. We could say that the Black Stone has stood the test of time. It became a silent witness to a multitude of historical events and endured significant damage over the years. Enduring shattering blows and even becoming the target of theft, the sacred stone has withstood a diverse array of challenges and trials, attesting to its resilience and enduring significance. During the Umayyad siege of Mecca in 683 AD, historical accounts suggest that it was struck and shattered into fragments by a catapult-launched stone. In 930 AD, a small Shiite sect known as Karmatians seized the Black Stone, relocating it to their stronghold in Hajar, present-day Bahrain. As per an Ottoman historian, Abu Tayr al-Karmati, the leader of the Karmatians, attempted to redirect the pilgrimage away from Mecca by placing the Black Stone in his mosque. However, his efforts proved unsuccessful as pilgrims persisted in revering the original site of the Black Stone. 23 years later, in 952 AD, the Black Stone was finally returned. The Karmatians held it for ransom and forced the Abbasids to pay a huge sum for its return. It was wrapped in a sack and was countlessly thrown into the Friday Mosque of Kufa. This resulted in additional damage that shattered it into 7 pieces. However, the stone showed the dire fate that awaited those who dared to disrupt its sanctity. The abductor, in a chilling twist of fate, met a gruesome demise, succumbing to a harrowing death marked by the torment of a gangrenous sore. This has been shown again in another incident from the 1st century. A man purportedly sought to shatter it and paid the ultimate price, resulting in only marginal damage to the sacred stone. Recognizing the fragility of the shattered stone, the stewards of the Kaaba took decisive action. They commissioned a pair of adept Meccan goldsmiths to craft an elaborate silver frame, serving as a robust shield against future potential threats. This is the exact frame that continues to hold the fragments of the stone to this very day. Now, let's dive into the scientific community's efforts to unveil the mystery surrounding the sacred stone and the fascinating discoveries they've made along the way. In 1974, Robert Dietz and John McCone boldly suggested a hypothesis, challenging the meteoric origin of the Black Stone, instead proposing that it is a naturally occurring agate indigenous to our own planet. This conclusion stemmed from their keen observation of the stone's distinctive physical characteristics. It being monomineralic, characterized by hardness, toughness, and fine-grained texture, is known for achieving a high polish through rubbing. This likelihood gained support from the observation of a well-qualified Arab geologist who conducted a detailed examination of the stone during the Hajj pilgrimage. According to his findings, the stone exhibits distinctive diffusion banding, a feature that strongly indicates its classification as an agate. However, a pivotal revelation in 951 AD, arising from 21 years after its theft, challenged this hypothesis. As chronicled, the stone was distinguished by its buoyancy in water. If proven true, this observation would dismiss the likelihood of the Black Stone being an agate, a salt lava, or stony meteorite, leaning instead towards properties akin to glass or pumice. In 1980, Elizabeth Thompson from the University of Copenhagen suggested that the Black Stone might be a fragment of glass or impactite resulting from a meteorite impact about 6,000 years ago at Wabar. This impact site is situated in the Rub al-Khali Desert, approximately 100 kilometers east of Mecca. Wabar's site features silica glass blocks with white or yellow interiors and glass-filled hollows, giving them the ability to float in water, coincidentally mirroring the characteristics of the Black Stone, which also floats in water and remains cool in fire. However, this theory has been shattered by a study conducted by the United States Geological Survey using thermoluminescence dating analysis. It was determined that the Wabar impact event occurred at least 250 years later. This finding strongly suggests that the Black Stone was not a part of the Wabar impact. The British Natural History Museum entertained the possibility that the Black Stone may be a pseudo-meteorite, a terrestrial rock mistakenly attributed to a meteoric origin. Nevertheless, a handful of studies have been undertaken in an effort to unravel its composition and origin. In a notable 2014 study, Non-destructive techniques including X-ray fluorescence and Raman spectroscopy were employed to analyze the black stone. The findings unveiled a composite structure comprising various mineral components, notably basalt and igneous rock commonly found in volcanic regions. This discovery aligns with the hypothesis that the black stone originates from terrestrial sources. In 2017, another follow-up study employed scanning electron microscopy to closely examine the surface of the black stone. This study discovered tiny living organisms inside the stone, suggesting that biological activity might have played a part in its history. These scientific endeavors, though limited, provide valuable insights into the nature of the black stone, bridging the gap between its religious significance and the realm of empirical analysis. Yet some sources suggest that studies from 15 universities showed conflicting results, pointing to the presence of magnetic properties in the black stone. This adds more support to the idea that the black stone might indeed be of meteoric origin. Furthermore, there is noteworthy evidence, particularly from a nearby impact crater, that substantiates this intriguing possibility. With a metal content exceeding existing steel by an astonishing factor of 23,000, this stone stands out. Astronauts conducting a study observed a radiant glow emanating from the Earth, eventually linked to the Kaaba. Remarkably, this stone functions as a superconductor comparable to a broadcasting microphone, boasting a transmission range that spans thousands of miles. Meteorites, which travel from outer space and encounter cosmic rays, carry a certain level of radioactivity. Those without protection from electromagnetic radiation might notice a faint noise coming from these space rocks, often linked to beta particles. It's believed that the black stone may have a physical impact on people who touch it. Is it plausible that the stone emits a form of radiation energy that escapes our present comprehension? Providing a conclusive answer to this question may remain elusive until the foreseeable future. However, beyond its historical mysteries, the black stone stands as a testament to the spiritual essence and unifying force shared by Muslims worldwide. What matters most is not whether it's from Earth or a gift from heaven, but the profound impact it has had on the faith of Muslims. What are your thoughts about this? Hope you like our story. Until the next one.